Hello, everyone. This is Sean from the Soccernostalgia blog. I have the pleasure to interview Mr. Jakub Drożdż. Mr. Drożdż is the founder of the Polish Football Almanac and a football enthusiast. This interview is separate from a podcast series. This video interview will serve as a companion piece to a written blog presentation on Poland's participation in the 2002 World Cup. We did a previous interview where we discussed Poland's qualification campaign for this 2002 World Cup. Jakub, good to have you back.
Hello, Sean. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. As the year 2002 started, Poland were in a position that they had not been in 16 years, looking forward to a World Cup. Can you describe the state of the Polish football in this beginning of the year?
Exactly. This year 2002 came with great enthusiasm, elation even, I would say. Everyone was so happy and expecting and hoping for this great tournaments to happen after, as you say, 16-year drought. So I would say that the great atmosphere and the Polish football around the team was so big that everyone was just couldn't wait for the tournament to start.
And let's remind everyone that Poland were in a group with co-hosts South Korea, Portugal, and the United States. The first phase of the preparation was in February in Cyprus, where Poland played two friendly matches against the Faroe Islands and Northern Ireland. What were the lessons learned from these matches and the experimentations? Let's just remind everyone that the first match was on February 9th, where Poland defeated Faroe Islands 2-1, where a number of players made their debuts. And the next match was on a few days later on February 13th, again at Limassol at Cyprus, and this time Poland convincingly defeated Northern Ireland 4-1. So what was the takeaway from these two matches?
Probably for fans, not much. As you mentioned, the first match against Faroe Islands, it was like a total experimentation. There was many debuts, young players who didn't have much experience in the national team. Fringe squad players, we can say. Second match against Northern Ireland, much more serious with this, let's say, first team players, convincing win, but still the opponents like Faroe Islands and Northern Ireland back then weren't very serious opponents, and I believe nobody took this result seriously. And for average fan, I think there was not much to take from these two matches, maybe besides some kind of fun watching this team at that time.
We have to mention that Jacek Zielinski was back after a long absence from Achilles heel injury. And also in the match against Northern Ireland, Eusebiusz Smolarek, son of Włodzimir Smolarek, made his international debut. And at this point, he was playing at Feyenoord in Holland.
That's right. He made his debut. He didn't go to the World Cup in 2002. It was too early for him, but yeah. Later, he became a star in the national team, leading the team in the next qualifiers.
The more serious phase of the preparation was in March with a friendly against co-hosts Japan. Were there some questions after Poland lost 2-0 at home?
Yeah, this match, and in fact the next one 1 month later against Romania, that was in fact the beginning of crisis. At this moment, many people, many experts, fans started really to complain about the team, about the style of play, and there were also some internal conflicts around the team. So I would say this is the time when the Polish team came in for a lot of criticism, and let's say that was the alert before the World Cup that something is going bad, something is wrong.
So this was seen as a test against Korea that they would be facing in the World Cup. And there's the angle, the Polish manager, said that these were the worst first 45 minutes since he had taken over. And Japan scored their first 2 goals, in fact, in the first half. He felt that it would be a good lesson for his side, this performance. Even Thomas Klose said that defeat can be healthy for us now, and you don't need to bring about a revolution because you lose one game. I guess they couldn't see what was coming down the road.
They couldn't admit. In fact, of course, despite all this criticism and lack of commitment, maybe lack of atmosphere which was happening at that time. Yes, Engel, after this match, after the matches before the World Cup, he still believed and convinced everyone that everything is okay. We are in the right place, going in the right direction, and in Korea, in Japan, we will see the true colors of the Polish team.
Yes. So the next friendly was on April 17th. At home, they faced Romania. This match, again, Poland lost at home 2-1. We have to mention this was Tomasz Iwan's final cap, his 40th and final cap for Poland. His first cap had been in 1995. So this is second straight defeat. What was the takeaway from this match?
Yeah, that match, first, it was unbearable to watch. This is the general opinion. That was also the nail in the coffin of this team, I believe. As regarding atmosphere, as you mentioned, there were some beginning of conflict between the coach, between the staff and the players. Tomasz Iwan played his last international game. There were some other omissions in the squad, players who didn't go to the World Cup. So first, the style of this match, the whole game, plus the deteriorating atmosphere, that all was the takeaway from this match and some kind of red flag before the World Cup. But I believe nobody really took it seriously.
Engel had surprised everyone by fielding a 3-5-2 tactical formation.
And that was the first game he tried this formation, yes.
Yeah. And he had made 5 changes from the Japan match, but this did not work. And the Polish press was mad after the disappointing result again.
Definitely, yes. The press also added to this bad atmosphere again.
So besides the press, what was the public's reaction?
I remember it was like still believing that, okay, this is only friendly, this is before World Cup, we have some time. Let's trust the coach, let's trust the process, and during the Korean games, everything will be all right. That was I think general feeling among the fans. Definitely, that was the feeling for me. Still huge expectations and great trust in this team.
In May, Engel selected his final 22 for the World Cup. Let's take a look. As far as the goalkeepers, we have Jerzy Dudek of Liverpool, Radoslav Majdan of Göcep in Turkey, Adam Matizek of RKS Radomsko. Dudek was number 1, Majdan was number 12, and Matizek was number 22. Now we come to the defenders. Number 4, Michal Zevlakov of Excelsior Mouscron in Belgium. Number 15, Tomasz Waldok of Schalke. Number 3, Jacek Zielinski of Legia Warsaw. And we have to mention Waldok was the captain of the team. Number 20, Jacek Bach of Racing Lens in France. Number 6, Tomasz Haszto of Schalke. Number 2, Tomasz Klose of Kaiserslautern. Number 13, Arkadiusz Glowacki of Wisla Krakow. Now we come to the midfielders. Number 5, Tomasz Rzasa of Feyenoord. Number 18, Jacek Krzyżanowicz of Nuremberg. Number 21, Marek Kozminski of Ancona. Number 10, Radoslav Kaluzhny of Energy Cottbus. Number 17, Arkadiusz Bach of Vizio Lodz. Number 7, Piotr Żurzewski of Olympique Marseille in France. Number 16, Maciej Murawski of Legia Warsaw. Number 23, Paweł Sibik of Odra Wodysław Śląski. Now we come to the strikers. Number 11, Emmanuel Olisadebe of Panathinaikos. Number 9, Pavel Kryžalovic of Eintracht Frankfurt. Number 19, Maciej Żurawski of Wisla Krakow. Number 14, Marcin Żewlakow of Excelsior Mouscron. And number 8, Cezary Kucharski of Legia Warsaw. And also to mention that Karvan was ruled out on May 16th due to strained right thigh muscle. Were there any surprising inclusions or omissions from this final 22?
Yeah, that was quite a decent squad with a few surprises. The biggest surprise was that there was no Tomasz Iwan, the main man during the qualifying campaign, the person who created the atmosphere and around the team, quite decent player. His omission was a big shock around the team. He was replaced by the relatively unknown player, Paweł Sibik from Odra Wodzisław. And that was another controversy because this player was relatively unknown, as I said, quite old, and he didn't have any international experience before the World Cup. So that was the biggest shock. You mentioned Karvan, who was ruled out because of injury. There was also no Andrzej Juskowiak, who played a part in the qualifying session. As far as inclusions are concerned, some unexpected names were Cezary Kucharski of Legia Warsaw, Maciej Murawski, Arkadiusz Głowacki. They didn't play in the qualifying, or they didn't play much in the qualifying campaign. So their nominations were also quite surprising. But still much more justified than inclusion of Paweł Sibik instead of Tomasz Iwan.
And in fact, Glowacki, Murawski, and Sibik had only one cap before against the Faroe Islands. And,
exactly.
Yeah. And Cezary Kucharski, we have to mention, he was last capped in 1998. So perhaps he was a surprise inclusion as well.
He was, yes.
Yeah. So getting back to Tomasz Iwan, he was out of form at Austria Vienna and was dropped. And Żurzewski and Waldo criticized Engel's decision.
That omission of Iwan, as mentioned by you, that was the last straw. So it totally breaks the atmosphere in the team. As you say, you mentioned two players. I think there was a bigger group of players who disagreed with this decision, and some of them even made it public that they are not happy with this decision. But yeah, the decision was made. There was no way back. But as I said, the atmosphere around the team and in the team deteriorated so much that players even admitted that they just lacked this Tomasz Iwan in the dressing room and his influence on the team on and off the pitch.
You mentioned Bartosz Karvan missing out due to injury. How was this looked upon?
No, Karvan was a decent player, important part of this team. He played really well. He scored this vital goal against Norway in an away win. So he was important part of this team, but he wasn't not the key player. So his omission and his injury was a blow for the team. But I believe that because of this omission of Tomasz Iwan and all this surprising collapse to the team, his story for his injury wasn't so discussed, wasn't so problematic.
So after selecting this final 22, on May 18th, Poland played one final friendly before traveling to South Korea and Japan. So on May 18th at Warsaw, they took on Estonia. Basically, most of the players took part, or just about all of them.
Besides Jerzy Dudek in goal, everyone has.
Yes. Poland won this match 1-0. Hachto scored near the end. As far as the goalkeeper, Adam Matisek, this was his 34th and final cap for Poland. He was first capped in 1991. Now we come to the World Cup. Their first match is against the World Cup co-host South Korea on June 4th at Busan. In this match, the hosts win 2-0 to get their World Cup on track. What was the takeaway from the Polish side?
Yeah, that was a total disaster. Nobody really expected this result and this the style or the performance the Polish players showed in this game. It is believed right now, or it was believed just after this World Cup that we don't have to care much about Koreans. They are definitely worse than we are, so it shouldn't be a problem to win against them. There was not, as I heard, there was even not any kind of analysis of this opponent. Just let's go out and play and win, and let's prepare for the next game, first serious game against Portugal. So that was the general atmosphere around this first game. Obviously, Koreans were much better than we were. We were also hoping for some physical advantage above Asian team, but even this didn't happen. Even though Polish players were bigger and stronger, the Koreans didn't have any problems with playing against such a physically stronger opponent. I think that this belief is the one word which best sums up this first opening match.
Well, things would get worse. On June 10th at Jeonju, they faced Portugal of Luis Figo. Portugal, they had lost their first match against the United States, so they had to win to have any chance of advancing. And they ran right. Pedro Pauleta scored a hat-trick, and Rui Costa scored another one near the end, and they won 4-0. As far as Arkadiusz Bak, this was his 13th and final cap. His first cap had been in 1998. From one disaster to another.
That was another disaster. That's correct. Yes, more justified, more easier to explain, but still, obviously, after the first match, our first match, we believe that that was a huge mistake. Now we play Portugal. We will do everything to win. We can win. We can still do what we are here for. Oh, yeah, as you said, it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Portugal trashed us, and that was the end of the dreams for Polish team. And we were preparing to go home.
Yeah, officially Poland were eliminated. So definitely. The first match against Korea, Engel had employed his 4-4-2 formation, but he tried a 4-3-3 against Poland and did not have the desired effect. Yeah. We come to the last match in the group. Poland already eliminated. They're facing United States at Daejeon. In this match, Engel decided to field many of the players who had not played. He fielded his 4-4-2 formation, but surprisingly, that was perhaps Poland's best performance with no pressure on. And they defeated the United States 3-1. Olizadebe and Krzyżalowicz scored within the first 5 minutes. And Marcin Zevlakov scored another goal in the second half before Landon Donovan pulled the goal back for the United States near the end.
We also missed the penalty in this match.
And Maciej Żurawski, his penalty was saved by Brad Friedel. As far as some of the players, this was Marek Kuzminski's 45th and final cap, one of the 92 Olympians, and that was his debut, in fact, in 1992. And also Tomasz Waldok, the captain of the team. This was his 74th and final cap. His first cap.
He officially resigned as the only one from this team after the World Cup. He resigned from international football.
Right. Yes. And he had started his first international was in 1991. Also Pavel Sibik. This was his third and final cap, all of them in this year 2002. Can you describe where you were at this point in life and how you experienced this World Cup?
I was 22 back then, second year at university. Obviously, that was holiday time, so I spent this time at my family home. I don't remember the details, but I'm sure that I watched all these matches home alone, very excited, and with great hopes. That was the time when the football match, Poland's national team matches were so important for me and so special that I celebrated them by myself at home just watching and exciting alone. Yeah. So all these 3 matches, only 3 matches, I was hoping for more. I definitely watched at my parents' home. Totally excited, and nothing else interested me at that time besides these matches.
What was the general takeaway as to what went wrong in the World Cup?
Yeah, there were many reasons about what went wrong at the tournament. First one, I can say about organization of preparation for the World Cup, and a lack of experience in such tournaments after 16 years. So obviously, players, a lot of executives, the whole staff, they were inexperienced in such a big tournament. So many experts believe that was one of the reasons. We can also mention the quite a big pressure, which in fact Coach Jerzy Engel put on the team, saying that we are going to Korea to win, or at least to qualify to the last 4. So maybe this kind of pressure, although it was justified, maybe not necessary. So it also could have some effect on the team. We need to say that back then, at least in Poland, Polish players before this qualification, they were not very well known, that they were not big figures in the public space. And suddenly after this qualifying session, when they played really well, they became some kind of celebrities. So just before the World Cup, during this period before the World Cup, they got many advertising offers. The funniest, I believe, is that the Polish team, all the players, I think, in fact, advertised, some company producing instant soups. So that was really funny, but suddenly Polish players were everywhere. So that's another argument. They concentrated on this, let's say, marketing aspect, business aspects of their career, not preparation for the World Cup. Which again, we can justify because that was some great occasion for them, and maybe that was something that they enjoyed maybe even too much. As I mentioned before, there were also some problems between players and the staff, players and the Polish FA. That's typical. They were fighting about bonuses. And they were fighting about this marketing rights, images of the players with different companies. So all these kind of conflicts, they did have bad influence on the performance during the World Cup. As we mentioned, the omission in the squad of Tomasz Iwan and totally low morale after this in the team, it was also a crucial thing that cost that performance. Emmanuel Olisadebe, our best striker back then, he mentioned that during the World Cup, during the tournament, players were not thinking about the team. Everyone wanted just to play for themselves, for himself. So they were very oriented on their own performance, maybe just to promote their names. Some other players mentioned that bad preparation, bad physical condition, not being ready for these conditions in Asia, that was another factor which could impact our performance.
Now, let's listen to the FIFA official report on Poland for this World Cup. The strengths of the team were individual physical fitness, heading, tactical discipline, good organization, determination, and wing play. The weaknesses were limited creativity in midfield, lack of drive in attack in the first 2 games, poor finishing, and change of pace. The outstanding players were Paweł Kryszalowicz, Emmanuel Olisadebe, and Maciej Żurawski. What do you think?
Yeah, the strengths you mentioned, I think they were from the qualifiers, not from the tournament.
Perhaps, yeah. So,
outstanding players. You mentioned three guys from the up front. Yes, three strikers of this team. Yeah, we scored 3 goals all in the last game. So I'm not so sure. But on the other hand, it would be really difficult to choose 1 or 2 players who didn't disappoint, who played really well during this tournament.
Why do you think there was a sharp contrast in performances from the qualifiers versus the World Cup itself? Was it tactics, or was it some of the reasons you mentioned before? What do you think?
Yeah, on the whole, all the reasons I mentioned played their part in this. But if I have to choose one thing, that would be the atmosphere and morale in the team. It all started with this conflict between the coach, between the staff and FA and the players, and then this controversial decision about the squad who would go to the World Cup. That was definitely the most important factor, which shows the contrast between qualifying session and the finals. That team, that was not the team of big stars. This was the team of decent players from quite decent clubs you mentioned before, and really atmosphere in the team. That was something special, and that was something important, which what kept these guys together and motivated them. And with these decisions, obviously the bad play, the bad matches, the bad performances also added to this, because always atmosphere is built on the results, on the style, and on the performance. So all this created this low morale or total deterioration of morale, and that was the main factor, I believe, which made this appearance in Korea so bad.
Jerzy Engel was fired on July 8th and replaced by Zbigniew Boniek. How was this change regarded at the time?
Yes, Engel was living in disgrace somehow after this performance, after his promises. Boniek was the front runner from the beginning, and he was appointed as a manager, as a head coach, I think with quite a big enthusiasm in the nation. He promised modern offensive football. He had some ideas. Obviously, Boniek was the legend, or is the legend of Polish football. So everyone believed that despite not much coaching experience, he could be a good candidate. So yeah, he was welcomed with optimism for better future, even better future. And obviously, as we know, it didn't happen. Boniek was a great executive, great organizer, but yes, as far as coaching is concerned, he was just that.
Getting back to Jerzy Engel, what is his legacy now in Polish football?
We qualified for the World Cup 9 times in history with 8 different coaches. So he is one of the 8 coaches who did it. So I think his legacy is important and quite vital in Polish football. And despite the disappointment in Korea, this qualifying campaign and these games will be well remembered for the future generations. Yeah, so of course he made some controversial decisions. He was somehow and still sometimes is controversial in his opinions right now. But I think his legacy as a person who took us after 16 years to the World Cup will be appreciated in Polish football society.
In closing, how do Polish football fans and historians regard this World Cup adventure, including the qualifiers?
Exactly. That's why mixed feelings, yes. Qualifiers, great adventure, great fun to watch, amazing team, amazing performances. Nobody really, I think, maybe believed at the beginning, especially that before qualifiers we had some kind of run of 6 winless games or something like that. So the qualifying session, great adventure, great time. Everyone enjoying the team and with this belief. As we know, the World Cup a total disaster. So I think the mixed feeling is the best to describe those 2 periods in Polish football history. On the whole, again, I believe that when we think about this whole adventure, this whole story, I can say I have some warm feelings about this team, about this time of Polish football, and about this qualifying to this World Cup.
Engel had called the qualification a turning point. Given that Poland started qualifying more after the millennium, do you think that was accurate?
Yeah, I think that was.
With that, I would like to thank you for this interview. and urge everyone to please read the main blog article as well for more detail. The link is included on the video upload description along with our respective contact information. And reminder that there was a previous interview where we discussed Poland's qualification campaign for the 2002 World Cup. And that link will also be included on the blog and video uploads. So thank you once more and hope to continue these discussions on Polish football history.
Thank you. That was a pleasure as always.
Thank you.